Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about the 10 things I hate about the crawl space and basement industry. Check it out. Alright, so let's talk about the 10 things I hate about the crawl space and basement industry. So number 10 and number 9 is poor sales training. So, and I'm not talking about training your salespeople on how to sell, right? That's a whole another topic. But the number 10 and number 9. So let's start with number 10. Is they don't know what they're looking for. They're not trained well enough when they come in to know what they're looking for. So some of these companies just don't invest in that time and training. And I'm not talking about when you first hire somebody, continual training. You got to keep training these guys on what to look for, and they need to know what they're doing, especially when we're talking about mold and structural repair. Structural repair is a big one. So if we're doing structural repair, I mean, we train our guys on a weekly basis on what to look for. If they miss something, they're going back out to the job with the crews and figuring out what they missed and learning from it. So we run into it quite a bit where we're looking at a job and there's 2 or 3 other companies that have been out there looking at it, and they're like, well, they didn't find this. Why didn't they find this? So that's a pretty big issue. If we're going out there to fix it, or another company's going out there to fix the damage, fix issues, and things aren't found, that's a big issue for homeowners. So number 9 kind of falls in that same realm of poor sales training. Is I see a lot of these salespeople selling customers on what they don't need. That's a big pet peeve of mine, and my sales guys know that, and they're very, very well trained on not to do that. So I see a lot of these other companies that where these sales guys go out and they're selling them on this and that, and I'm like, you don't need that. Additional supports, or maybe mold remediation when they don't even have any mold, things like that. That's a big no-no in my book. So that's number 9, and leading into number 8 is kind of almost the opposite, is not paying enough attention to mold. A lot of the companies around me, actually, we're really the only company in this area besides a restoration company that actually removes mold. That's a big deal. A lot of these other companies, especially when you're encapsulating a house, encapsulating a crawl space, they're not remediating mold. They're either telling the homeowner that, hey, when we put a dehumidifier under there and seal it up, it'll dry everything out and everything will be good. Wrong. Mold is still an allergen, whether it's active or inactive. So, and you seal that up in the house, and that's a big issue. So not paying enough attention to mold is a pretty big issue. So removing that before you encapsulate is huge. So number 7 reason why I hate the crawl space and basement industry is poor communication. So when I send my sales guys out, or back whenever I first started this company and I was doing everything and I was selling, I had quite a few times where the homeowner said, wow, you actually showed up. You're the first person to show up, and you showed up on time. That's huge. Communication. A lot of these other contractors, whether it's in my industry or other industries, I guess they get so busy, or just who knows what their reason is, but they don't communicate when they're going to be there, whether it's for estimating the job, bidding the job, or showing up to do the work. I can't count the number of times I've seen people, or if I've dealt with other contractors, whether it's in this industry or other industries, where they just show up to do the work. Homeowner has no idea that they're supposed to start that day, and they just show up and start working. So communication, people love communication. Let them know when you're going to be there. Let them know when you're going to leave. Showing up at random time in the morning to do the work, and then leaving 3 or 4 hours later, and there's still a bunch of work to be done because you got to go work on another job. That's another big issue. So communications, number 7. Number 6, they don't pay their techs enough. So that causes all kinds of issues. So if you don't pay your techs enough, why do they want to work? Why do they want to do a good job? So they don't stick around. You have to retrain a new guy. Maybe you get tired of training, so you don't train them very well. You're like, well, why train them? Because they're not going to last anyway. And that just leads to shoddy work and poor workmanship and issues all around the company and for the homeowner and everything else. So paying your techs enough is huge, and I see that issue a lot in this industry is just not paying their techs enough, which once again leads to training issues and things like that. So that also leads into number 5, which is they don't take pictures. In the crawl space and basement industry, mostly the crawl space, you gotta take photos. A lot of homeowners don't go in their crawl space. Either they don't want to or they can't. We deal with a lot of elderly homeowners that just physically can't crawl in their crawl space, or maybe just somebody else that just physically can't crawl in their crawl space for one reason or another, or they just don't want to. I mean, I can totally understand that too. There's spiders under there, there's snakes, things like that, where people just don't want to go in their crawl space. So how are they supposed to know that you did a good job? They don't, unless you take a bunch of photos. So, and I think a lot of these companies don't take photos for that reason. We don't take photos. They don't have any evidence of how good or how poor we do of a job. We take photos before, during, and after, and we send those photos. When we take pictures before to bid the job, we show the customer those photos. When we finish the job, we send them all the photos before, during, and after. They can see everything we did. They don't have to go in the crawl space or basement or anything. No matter what job we do, we take photos and we send them to the homeowner. Being completely transparent is huge, and that's another avenue I see missed quite a bit in this industry. I've seen other companies' bids. They don't have photos in there. They don't show the homeowners what's going on under there. Once again, that goes back into number 9 of selling you on stuff you don't need. How are you supposed to know if you need it? How are you supposed to know that they're selling you on the right thing if you can't even see what's going on in your crawl space? So taking pictures and showing them to the homeowners is a big deal, especially in this industry. You could probably get away with it when you're doing bathroom remodels or something like that, where they can see the space. But when you're in crawl space and things like that, taking photos is a big deal. So that going into number 4 is I see a lot of companies in this industry that don't maintain their systems. Sump pumps, dehumidifiers, things like that need to be maintained, especially dehumidifiers. They got a filter that needs cleaned. If you're draining it into a condensate pump, that needs to be maintained. if you're not draining into a condensate pump, then those tubes could clog up with bacteria, and those need to be maintained. Some pump needs to be checked and maintained. So those systems need maintenance, and I see a lot of companies that just miss the boat on that, where they just install the system and then just disappear. Don't want to ever have to think about it or worry about it again. So and that kind of leads into number 3, which is out of town companies coming in and doing work here. And I'm sure that happens in other parts of the country. Here, we're in Western Kentucky. It's a rural area. So we have places, some of these big cities that are hour and a half, 2 hours away. Some of these big national companies are coming over here to do work. And that leads back into number 10 of not maintaining their systems. So yeah, they'll travel over here to do the big job, to do all the work, but you think they're gonna continue to drive an hour and a half, 2 hours back out here to maintain that system, the maintenance it needs? No. And even worse, if you do have an issue, if you have warranty issues or just issues in general, how easy do you think it'd be to get those other companies to come back out and warranty that work or fix issues that they caused? It's gonna be pretty tough to get them back out here, and I've seen it happen. So be wary of companies they're coming from an hour, 2, 3 hours away to do the work, because if you ever have issues, you're gonna be hard pressed to get them back out there. So going into number 2 reason why I hate the crawl space and basement industry is, or things I hate about the crawl space and basement industry, I should say, is adding costs at the end of the job. Nickel and diming customers. I know if you're listening to this, if you're watching this video, you've probably had this happen, where you've hired a contractor, whether it's in this industry or another industry, where they come out, they bid the job, tell you it's going to be $5,000 to do this job, and at the end of the job you get a $5,350 bill. Oh, well, we had to do this or we had to do that, right? That's a big, another big pet peeve of mine, is adding costs at the end. So we here at the Crawlspace Ace, we have a protection plan that we offer all of our customers to negate that issue. Like I said, last thing I want to do is get to the end of the job and tell a homeowner that, hey, we ran into this and that, and we gotta charge you this much extra. Nobody likes to have that conversation. I don't like to put a customer in that position. It's not a good thing. And I see a lot of companies around here do it. Once again, we have a protection plan here at the Crawlspace Ace that protects homeowners from things like that. If we run into unforeseen issues while we're doing the job that stops us from being able to do the job that we talked about, that we quoted, we cover up to $3,000 of that cost. So we try to protect the homeowner of any unforeseen things. I mean, it happens. It's gonna happen. That's why I know why contractors do it, because I mean, some things are just unforeseen. You don't know you can't know everything when you're getting into it. Sometimes when we go lift a house, the floor joists seem fine until we start lifting up, and then they just start crushing under the weight. And you're like, well, these floor joists aren't going to work. So instead of saying, hey, Mr. Homeowner, we started lifting up the house and you got 10 floor joists that just would not support the additional weight that we're pushing up on. I got to charge you for 10 extra joists. Instead of doing that, covered under the protection plan, we throw up 10 new floor joists. everything's good to go. You just pay the same amount. So we try to do that for homeowners. I feel like it's a pretty big benefit for them, instead of trying to add costs either at the end or having that conversation before we start lifting. Just adding costs at the end is a thing I see a lot of companies do in this industry and other industries. So we're trying to negate that issue. So and number one reason or thing I hate about the crawlspace and basement industry is non-specialized companies trying to do the work we do. So we see this a lot with insulation companies, some plumbers, and especially in the pest control industry. They're like, I guess they just assume that, hey, we're down in the crawl space, we might as well remediate mold. We might as well do structural repair. They don't specialize in that. Don't hire them to do that. They specialize in pest control. They know what they're doing in pest control. They don't know what they're doing under the house. These are the jobs. These are the companies that we have to come back and redo their work more than anybody. Way more than our competitors. Like, I mean, if you're going to hire somebody in the crawl space and basement, or if you're going to hire somebody to do crawl space and basement work, hire somebody who's specialized. Are you going to pay more? Absolutely you will, because they're specialized in that. They know what they're doing. But I can tell you, especially a structural repair, we got a national company, national pest control company out here, and I know, obviously they're national, so they're all over the place. I'm sure it's about the same everywhere else, but they do a lot of structural repair. They don't know what they're doing. Their salespeople don't know what they're looking for. Their techs don't know what they're doing. You're just blowing money hiring these companies to come out and do that work. We just got to come back, and the worst thing is we got to come in, and it's not like, oh yeah, well, we got to fix this, we got to fix that. No, we got to rip out everything that they've done. That's how bad it is. We got to rip everything out that they've done and redo it. So you're just throwing that money in a fireplace. So don't hire a non-specialized company to do crawl space and basement work. You might be able to get away with it in some other industries, but I promise you don't do it in this industry, especially with structural repair, with mold remediation. In Kentucky, you don't have to be certified to do mold remediation. It's crazy. We are certified in mold remediation. We know what we're doing. We don't just remediate mold, we remove mold. Physically remove it. That's the best thing you can do, especially in a crawl space when you're going to seal it up with an end cap. So I hope that helped in any way possible. But those are the 10 things I hate most about the crawl space and basement industry. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you like and subscribe to the video and to our channel. Thank you.
If you have any other questions, feel free you can email me at thecrawlspaceace@gmail.com or go on our website at www.the-crawlspaceace.com, and you can fill out a contact form and contact me through that. Thank you.